All right, everybody, it is 6 o'clock, and we're going to call this meeting of the Beautification Commission to order. Can we have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Staff Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair. Chair Wright,
Present.
Vice Chair Taylor, Commissioner Hanley-Mills,
Present.
Commissioner Leahy, absent, Commissioner McGarry,
Present.
Commissioner Slater, absent, Commissioner Wyrick.
Present.
We have established a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 4, consent calendar and approval of agenda. Can we have somebody to approve these items?
I so move.
A second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, perfect.
Motion passes unanimous.
Thank you so much. Okay, and then number 5, presentations and commendations. We have a presentation by Scott Tedrow, the Landscape Maintenance Manager. Thank you so much for being here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Tedrow. I'm the manager of the Landscape Maintenance Districts here in Vallejo, and put together a short presentation just to kind of go over who we are, and what we do, and any questions I'm happy to help at the end. Okay. So in LMD, the operation covers 9 regions throughout the town. In those regions, there's 26 districts and 1 facilities district, which is the main corridor, which we call city-owned landscape areas. And I work with 4 full-time inspectors, 1 senior inspector, and then myself, the manager. We work with 2 commercial landscape companies. They go out to bid on usually a 2 to 4 year cycle, depending on when it comes up. We do a open bidding process for the companies. On that, the winning bid is who we work with. We have contracts with each one of the regions. In those regions, these companies they have to follow everything per contract to be in compliance. So a large part of what we do is monitor them at all times. We make sure that they're on point, that they're doing the tasks they should be doing, they're doing the maintenance that they should be doing. We receive weekly schedules from them on where they're going to be, what jobs they're going to be performing. We do daily reports, so we always have accountability. We have record keeping of where they were, what should have happened that day, and my inspectors make sure that they did happen. The companies, they're large commercial companies. Commercial landscaping is different than landscaping you have as homeowners. It's not as detailed. They're larger areas, a lot quicker. These crews go through them very quickly. So we have a lot of follow-up that we have to do. We have to constantly monitor what they're doing, their progress. We have to make sure that, that they're addressing concerns that we have, especially after storms, and that they're really, that they're really following what we tell them to do and we recommend, so we work very closely with them. Manny? The way the LMDs are formed, that they're paid by assessment fees that are part of their tax bill. And the assessment fees, basically they're determined by where the property is located and from 2 acts. There was an act of 1911 and another one from 1972. These 2 acts differ in that 1911 was an assessment, a percentage of their home, strictly their house, where if it's 1972, it was the size of the parcel and the land that the home sat on. So that's how they get the percentages that they charge for the LMD assessments. So it's kind of interesting because A lot of your older communities, or ones that aren't as new, maybe built in the 80s or 90s, are going to be more under the 1972 Act, where some of the older properties are going to be under 1911. Okay, and that's kind of the guidelines that they use with their consultant in order assessing the fees. The fees are then submitted to City Council for a public hearing. They're open to anybody for comments and suggestions and whatnot. Once approved, the funds are used for maintenance throughout the improvements throughout the regions. The assessments are they're added to their yearly tax bill. Some of them don't change very often. Some of them are, some of the regions are, better like a terms, are strapped for funds. They've gone on the ballot a couple of times for increases. They've been defeated. They have not increased. So oftentimes we find it's extremely hard to work in some of these regions because we just don't have the funding to improve them. As far as fresh plantings, fixing irrigation systems, upgrading a lot of the older infrastructure that what they have. So that becomes difficult and it becomes hard to manage those type of regions. But we do our best. We do our very best to try to get the most out of the money that we do have to work with. And what we do, what LMDs do is we work with public landscapes. So a lot of our job pertains to trees. We assess the trees for risk, any pruning requirements they might have, sick trees, damaged trees, trees that might be old and failing, we'll do removals on. Okay, we contract with tree companies throughout the city, and they come in and take care of the tree maintenance. And then turf, we do the mowing, we monitor the irrigation, the fertilization. They're fertilized about 3-4 times a year, depending on the area. And weed control. Weed control is huge. We try everything we can to monitor the weeds, keep them under control, and make sure that the main thing is safe for the people in those environments. By doing that, we have them post signs that chemicals have been applied so they can keep the dogs and children out of the area for at least 24 hours to 48 hours after the application to make sure that everybody's safe. So that's something that we've implemented, and it seems to be working much better. We do work with a lot of parks and open space within the neighborhoods. We don't work like in playgrounds per se or hard structures, something like that, hardscapes, but we do all the landscaping for the turf, all for the walkways, all for the sidewalks, the trees, shrubs, bushes, any of the perennials, any of the plants you see, we maintain all of that. The trail systems throughout the regions too, we maintain. One of the big ones here is the Vine Trail that goes right from the Ferry Building all the way up into American Canyon. That's something I'm heavily involved in, is the maintenance of that and the upkeep of that. And we also have the Bay Trail and the Ridge Trail. So there's 3 major trails that we do help maintain throughout Vallejo, and that's through the work of our contractors. And then irrigation maintenance, that's huge, especially in these times with drought and water preservation and so forth. We're constantly monitoring that. We have upgraded systems. We can run a lot of controllers right off our phone through Bluetooth. We could be on a trip in Europe and we can turn off controllers. So it's really become pretty amazing what they can do and very helpful at the same time. But we do a lot of maintenance on them, repairs, and like I mentioned, controllers. So we monitor all the water settings, the times, duration, everything throughout the season. We tell them when to turn them on, we tell them when to turn them off, and we make sure that they're running correctly. Where we run into problems is when we have theft. It's an ongoing issue. The copper theft, a lot of them get broken into. They steal the wiring in them. As you can imagine, this really hurts us because now, number one, we don't have water going to the plants or the turf, so we have to do a lot of that by hand. I've had inspectors that had to spend between 6 and 9 months out hand watering areas because we didn't have controllers working. So that's an ongoing problem. They're now starting to come out with maybe some aluminum or different materials for the pipes or the wiring, so it's going to be really great. Hopefully prevent some of the, deter some of the theft that's going on, but that can really set us back, and so we try to monitor those. We work very closely with irrigation companies. We do trainings all the time, so we're always up on the cutting edge of what's next for training. California's going to come out with a lot of new laws in about 2 years where any type of turf areas that are not used for recreation, such as ball fields, stuff like that, they're going to need to be removed. They're getting very strict on that. There's going to be new policies that go into place. And then also overhead sprays. So there's going to be no longer any overhead sprays. Most of it's got to be done by drip. So there's changes all the time, constant change with irrigation. And it keeps us busy. There's a lot of breaks. There's a lot of, we have valves, we have main lines, we have lateral lines, we have heads, we have stuff broken all the time. So we're constantly chasing our tail, trying to keep up with irrigation throughout the regions. Go ahead. So big thing that we work on is enhancements. So part of LMD and what the residents really want as far as paying fees is they want to see improvements in their communities. They want to see them not only upkept, but they want to see improvements. They want to see that that we're working for them to make things pretty, to make things beautiful, to make them look good, and that's what we do. So we constantly work on designs. We do plant designs. We do improvements of all types. We go in, we do refreshing designs. We do new designs from scratch. We come in with a lot of new ideas. For me, it's fun. I just hired a new inspector a while back, and he came from the nursery business. That's my background as well. So we had a lot in common, but to hear his ideas and what he can bring to the table is always kind of fun. Everybody has a different design idea. So we work together as a group, and we find out what's going to work best, and it always works out pretty well. We bring in mulch refreshments. We refresh areas with brand new mulch or areas that are bare or barren. We bring that in. Sometimes we'll do cover crops. Sometimes we'll do massive seed plantings to bring in hopefully flowers and stuff like that on barren hillsides. We also help with the community gardens. So if there's an area and they say, hey, we're going to build a community garden, we'll go out and help them. We'll help them build the raised beds. We'll help them with ideas. We'll teach them how to plant. We'll teach them what's needed. So we try to get very involved in that. One thing that I work a lot with, is volunteers and neighborhood associations. You have quite a few people in town that they want to make improvements as well, and they want to go out and do the medians. They want to do things that just have not been taken care of, and they want to make improvements on. So I'm always for that. So whatever I can do to help those associations, we definitely try to do that. And in the central improvement projects, there's a lot of CIP. That would be more larger projects like, Glen Cove Parkway, Hidden Brook Parkway, the large parkways that do a lot of renovations, those type of things, that's under CIP. So we advise on that. We work with consultants on that. We work with designers. We work with architects. And it's fun because to see the whole process from the start, kind of a blank slate, to see what the finished product is really rewarding. It's a lot of fun. And at the same token, I think it's a learning experience for all of us. We learn a lot. We learn what worked, what didn't work. It's kind of fun right now at Glen Cove. We did phase one. It finished a few years ago, and now we're going to do phase two. So everything that went wrong in one, we're going to try to improve in phase two. So that's good. That's an improvement, and that's something I think that'll really help. And Manny? So a huge part of what we do is defensible space for fire breaks. As you can imagine, Vallejo and all the rolling hills, there's a lot of open space here. We have a huge amount of work that we do with fire breaks and weed abatement, okay? So we oversee and ensure that defensible space is compliant for our regulations. And the regulations are normally from, if it's a house, it needs to be 100 feet away. So, and like I said, we have a lot of slopes we work with, a lot of really steep conditions that we work with, so oftentimes it's challenging. But we go by the Vallejo Fire Department. Whatever their regulations are and whatever their stipulations are, we have to follow that. During the springtime, I'll meet with the fire people quite often to go out in the field and look at certain situations, and we make sure that everything's in compliance and that we're doing what needs to be done. As the season gets drier and we get closer to the 4th of July, people really panic with the fireworks and so forth, which is completely understandable. So we try to make sure that what we do, we have it done normally by June, okay? And it takes them like a couple months to do the fire breaks around here. That's how big they are, all right? We do follow the guidelines, the fire code adhered to is chapter 49, section 304.1.2. And we have to strictly follow that, their guidelines, and make sure we work in correspondence with them to make sure it's taken care of. The other thing is the weed abatement is monitored very closely too. Like I mentioned earlier, The problem that we have when they do fire breaks, they fall behind on their maintenance because oftentimes they don't have the employees they need. So they'll pull them to do the fire breaks. In the meantime, maintenance is suffering. So what we oftentimes see is for about the first 4 to 6 weeks, after the fire breaks, they got to catch up on the maintenance end. And I'm talking, we get weeds this tall out there, you know, so this becomes a problem. So we try to take care of that as well. And we also, you know, we monitor what herbicides and chemicals are used. We have records of that. The contractors, they give me records all the time of what they're using, what's been applied. So at any given time, we have a report and we can always look at what they did. They have regulations they have to follow as well. There's a lot of safety guidelines. There's a lot of PPE that they have to wear when they're applying these applications. So we have to make sure that they're on up and up and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, because we take that very, very, very seriously, okay? And then the Ag Commissioner too, we report to them, we give them the reports. They kind of guide us, they kind of instruct us, but we make sure that we're in line with what their requirements are as well. And then pre-emergence is a really big thing that we use, and that's for weed control. That kills the seeds before they germinate, so we try to do that. It just was applied recently in the last couple of weeks. We usually do that about this time of year when the rains start. They'll go down, and then hopefully by springtime that'll cut down a lot of what we have for weeds, and if not, then we'll also apply a post-emergence at that time to try to also control it. But germination of weeds is a main problem that we have, and they spread quickly, so we need to really control those. We're always on top of it. Manny? And then the other thing that we really monitor is water management, kind of back to the controllers earlier and the irrigation I spoke about. Well, is a water efficient landscape ordinance. Basically, after the droughts and so forth, this is try to teach people, educate people about sustainable landscapes, drought tolerant landscapes, making sure that they're using the right products. One thing that I'm kind of pushing right now is like certain cypress and certain types of trees. There's a lot of trees that go up like a Roman candle, and we try to stop people from doing that. We try to instruct them and educate them on what they should be planting. We work a lot with the residents. I mean, we get questions all the time. We go out in the field, we meet with people, and we try to help guide them. But that's a huge push right now, is to make sure that we're doing water efficient landscapes that don't require a lot of water. The other thing that we work on is hydrozoning, to make sure that we're putting the same type of plants in a certain area. So you don't want plants that are super thirsty with ones that don't need a lot of water. We try to balance that out and give them instruction and give us some ideas on what to do there. Decorative turf is another thing that I mentioned earlier. AB 1572. This is restrictions on decorative turf, so a lot of people now are going with the artificial turf. They're going with different products, mulch, rocks, all kinds of different things, boulders in the yard, whatever it might be. But they're really trying to push not to put in decorative turf anymore. You know, turf is a thing kind of the past that they're trying to get away from, simply because of the water. Turf takes an awful lot of water to keep it alive and keep it looking good. And there is a California water plan update. The governor and the water commissioner, they monitor it. Last time was in 2023. The next time will be in 2028. They do it about every 5 years, and they go out and monitor the situation where the water is and how we're doing on water, and what needs to be corrected. And that's where they make the recommendations for drought and everything else. LMDs are the largest consumers of water in Vallejo. So the areas that we do manage, they consume the most amount of water, primarily because they have the parks and they have a lot of the large green spaces that we do take care of. On average, we use about 550,000 gallons per year of water monitoring by the contractors. And as part of their contracts, leak and break detection is a high priority. As you can imagine, we have a leak on a Friday night and we're not back to work till Monday morning. That can be a lot of water coming out of there. So we try to monitor that, and that's where having things on Bluetooth and having systems that can alert us really helps us out, okay? It really keeps us on top of that, so we can try to control those. And we can turn it off, so that's a good thing. As I mentioned earlier, drought tolerant plants used in landscapes. We also work on bioswales. So when we go to a new design or something that we're building, we put in a bioswale. And a bioswale basically is it's a cutout area basically that it controls water. So what it does, it filtrates the water. So between the dirt, mulch, plants that you have in there, it cleans out the water before it goes into the gutter system. okay? It kind of slows it down, it stops it, and it does like a purification of the water before it goes off into the streams and into the ocean. So it's a big thing, it's a big push right now, and we always try to install that wherever we can, especially we have the space. It's usually a rock bed, inverted type rock bed type situation. And it's nothing fancy, but it works, and it works really well. And then the other thing too, we do a lot of stormwater monitoring, so we look in areas. Hidden Brook's a perfect example. All the hills out there, the water comes off the hills, and we work with GVRD very closely in those parks to monitor the water. We have basins that we control. We have areas that we have to constantly clean out and make sure that they're clear. Everything is running correctly to keep it flowing. And then the other thing too, that we also keep records of all that. So we keep monthly records and we give it to the Stormwater Commission to make sure that they know that we're on top of what we're doing. One thing too here on this slide, we have IPM methods utilized, integrated pest management. IPM it consists of four things. One is cultural. That might be changing irrigation, might be changing some of the things you're doing in gardening, some of the things you're doing in landscapes. That would be the cultural part of it. The second part would be biological. That's like using natural enemies or predators. If you have other maybe insects that would eat certain insects, we might apply those, something like that. Once again, we're trying to stay away from chemicals, so we're trying to use those the least amount that we can, and that's what IPM stands for. And the other third one would be mechanical. That would be setting traps for rats versus putting out bait. Things like that can certainly, give a second kill if another animal eats it. And then lastly, we did a chemical. So if it gets to that point, in IPM, you start to monitor the pests that you have. You start to record, what rate they're coming in, what the pest is. As they start to grow, you try these different methods, and the last one being chemical if we have to resort to that. But it's good. It's a sustainable way of managing the landscapes, and we really try to practice that as well. Manny? And then a huge part of what we do is we handle residential complaints and concerns. I get calls, I get emails every day, different things that happen. A lot of it is trees that have fallen, trees that are in people's encroachment on their backyards, maybe leaning over the fence. They might be on a sidewalk, they might be at a school site, something like that. So I get a lot of those calls. We get people that if it's lifted sidewalks, cracks in the sidewalk, once again, weeds, we get those. If they see irrigation leaks, we get those as well. But what we do, we try to be customer service oriented. So we are always going to be ready to respond. We give quick responses. We don't wait. I teach my team that we get back to them immediately, and we try to answer their concerns. That's our job, I feel, in LMD, that we need to take care of the residents. And we'll also look at fences. We oftentimes have a lot of fence damage. It's always hard when you have to tell the resident it's private, and it's something that we don't take care of. That's not what they want to hear, but oftentimes, about 90% of the time, it is their fence. But we do go out and look at it. We try to give them advice on turf issues and help them with problems they might have. Once again, they have pests, something like that, we can go out there and advise them and let them know what they should use. And then irrigation problems, any questions with easements, we work off of easements. That's our access points. So anywhere we go and we try to get in behind properties and so forth, we have to use easements. So we need to make sure those are constantly clear and there's no problems for our crews to get back there. And any general information that we can provide for them or anything, any questions they have. If we don't have the answers, I try to work with everybody else throughout the city here, City Hall, and provide them with what information they need. And that's basically it. Thank you. My email's right here. We're always open, to answer questions, to help in any way that we can. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question. What area is your focus right now?
The focus right now?
Mm-hmm.
So as we're going, that's a great question because the seasons change. So our focus right now is basically looking at trees, looking at structural parts of the tree, seeing if we can head off any branches that might look like during fall, any failing situations where the tree The trunks might not look solid. We do assessments all the time. And going into the winter, we're looking at trees, we're looking at V ditches, making sure the V ditches are clear of debris and leaves, make sure that they're clear for all the water to run down. And we're also, at this time, we're also looking at leaf drop. So leaves are, there's so many trees in Vallejo. This used to be called Tree City, USA. So and I believe it because there's a lot of trees. And a lot of what we do is try to do cleanup. So we try to monitor that. The other thing too is that we're looking at, we're about ready to go to mid-year for our budgets. So we're looking at projects. So we're starting to put together projects for the spring. We're trying to utilize what we have now, and then we look at our revisions on what we'll be asking, finance for budgetary increases for the next 6 months after December. So that's a lot of what we do right now is planning, looking. But on a day like today, after a storm last night and today, the inspectors are out driving around and they're seeing what's going on in the regions, and they're, we had a fence go down today in Glen Cove, and we cut up the tree ourselves. There was a smaller tree, we could cut it. We cut it up and we're gonna repair the fence ourselves. But we see things like that and we're looking for that. So, better sense words, we're like detectives in the field. We're constantly looking to see what's going on and where the problems are.
What areas in Vallejo is that focus?
What's that?
What area in Vallejo is that focus?
So we have, I mentioned 9. So we have Hidden Brook, we have Region 1, we have Region 2, we have Mare Island, we have Region 6 through the Central Corridor here, through downtown in this area, Wilson, Curtola Parkway and all that. We also have the Northeast Quadrant. That's another big area that we have. We have Glen Cove down to the south. We have Region 5 is the business park, along with Seawind and all the C streets up there in that area. We got 4, we got 3. Region 3 is right below the Northeast Quadrant. But there are areas in Vallejo that we don't have regions, that those are city properties. So those are properties the city maintains. But the big ones are Hidden Brook, Glen Cove, Northeast Quadrant, Mare Island. As small as it is, it can be a lot of work out there too. It just varies. Every year is going to be something different.
Do you have like specific areas? So Vallejo has lots of entrances and exits, and you spoke about beautification in terms of planting seeds for flowering or landscaping. Is there any focus around that? Like we have entrances that's really barren, and there's clearly no landscape happening.
Right. No, we love suggestions. So if anybody comes to us, right now I'm working with the Vallejo Heights Neighborhood Association on doing some new plantings on Wilson Avenue. And if anybody, they call me, they email me, and they have an area that they want to try to improve, that they want to put in plantings, they want to try to put in maybe a couple new trees, some shrubs, something like that. If we have the funding in that region, and that's a region that we handle, we're more than happy to go out and take a look at that. Absolutely.
So how would one, because I think part of, our beautification is when we come into Vallejo, what's the first sightings and what are we seeing and how does that look not only to outsiders, but what are we saying to our residents? How are we beautifying our city? And our entrances are not beautiful. And, that tells us something. It says, are we caring for our city? And if we have funding to increase the beautification, so one of the things you said that, your landscape companies go around Vallejo, clean off sidewalks. Downtown, there's sidewalks where there's leaves that's been there for weeks. And it's pretty dangerous in terms of now it's raining, the leaves get slippery.
Sure.
So when I say focus, I get it, like Hidden Brook, Glen Cove. There's other areas in terms of beautification that needs focus. And so how do we work together to
And can I,
improve that?
I'll cut in real quick just to make sure, because if I'm understanding correctly, so there's only certain areas that you're only authorized to work in Vallejo. So some of the areas I think you're talking about, I don't think he has any jurisdiction over, right?
That's very correct. I mean,
No,
I appreciate, yeah,
I know that, but I also wanted clarification in terms of what is his jurisdiction and how can that funding be used in those areas of jurisdiction. And if there's other places that we need to address, then we know who is responsible for that.
So a couple things on that. First of all, we try to do the entire city with what funds we have. So we also get grants. So we received a grant from CAL FIRE, and it was for trees for the city of Vallejo. And this is finishing right when I came to Vallejo to work here. But one of their main focuses was trying to go out to all the areas of Vallejo and plant trees, and especially some of the ones that weren't LMDs, that were less, you know, they didn't have the funding. They were areas that basically, they needed improvements, they needed help, and they always tried to focus on that, which was great. And so we try to spread it. We try to, anything like that, we get an outside funding, we're gonna spread that through the town. But in LMDs, we are hired specifically, because that's how we're funded, is through those regions. So something like downtown, there's certain areas that we handle in downtown, but not all of downtown. So that would also be the city workers that are gonna do that. One problem we have there is that they're always short on people. Now they have supposedly hired a few more people, but they run really low. They have a lot of turnover, and they haven't had a great workforce. Okay, so we don't handle all of downtown. There's only certain areas that we do. My inspectors, with the money they have, the budgets that they have, at the end of the fiscal year, the majority of them will be down below $100 left in that fund. That's how close they run it. So they look for anything they can. And like I said, any projects for improvements, any projects for trees, any irrigation projects, whatever it might be, they're gonna run that down the lowest they possibly can. I got one guy who'll get them all down to around $50 a year. So that's, we try to use the money the best we can, but the money has to stay in that region. So if we're in Hidden Brook, whatever we do in Hidden Brook, whatever we spend in Hidden Brook, we keep it all in Hidden Brook. We keep all that money there, and Glen Cove's a whole different ballgame. Mare Island's a whole different, you know, so everyone's different. But yeah, there's a lot of areas, especially in Central Vallejo, that definitely, you know, if we get any grants, anything like that, we'll be more than happy to go out there and advise on it and try to help. We're trying to get beautification in those areas, absolutely. And I think one thing too, that if you email me or call me and just say, hey, I have an idea, this is an area I'd like you to look at, I'm more than happy to go out there and look at it and take a look, and we'll even share plans with you on what we could do. We'll give you ideas, and we'll say, hey, we can come into this block, you know, you choose the color scheme that you want, and this is what we could do to improve it. We're more than happy to do that. We enjoy doing that, so.
Through the chair, Scott, if you don't mind, could you bring the microphone just a little bit closer to your,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
getting
sure.
some messages that we're having a hard time hearing online, so.
All right, sure.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, that, you know, that's what we're about. I mean, we're about improvements, and anything we can do to make things nicer and make them look better, that's our goal. And we're always looking for problems. We're always looking to fix problems, but on the same token, we always want to make improvements.
Where in downtown are you responsible for?
I'd have to show you a map, and I don't
Okay.
have that right now, but I mean, when I say the central corridor, so we go all the way down Wilson Avenue, from 37, the underpass there, all the way down Wilson, all through Cortola, all the way up to 780, okay, or 780. We stop there, I think it's Lemon Street. Lemon Street we stop, okay, and then we have, there's parks here too, to the central corridor that are handled by GVRD, so that's not us, but we work in correlation with them on trees and tree work and so forth, but they handle the park part of it. And then downtown, we have some areas by the parking structure here, by the bus depot. We also have some in downtown on some of the corners there's some planters that we have down there that we maintain. There's a couple trees that we maintain, but we don't really do the sidewalks or the streets in downtown. That's gonna be the city that handles the downtown there.
Yeah. I would love to see a roundtable with you, the city, and GVRD, because that is all three of you are the core of
Sure.
Vallejo Beautification, and it's great that you're here. However, it's also helpful when we have everyone in the same room to speak about what's your responsibility and how we can work as a team.
Yeah, I'm all for it. That's a great idea, because there's some contracts that were written with GVRD, and I talk to the manager over there, Gabe, quite often. But I think that, sitting down with them and also, the city leaders who is in charge of maintenance and so forth, it would be great to get together so we're all on the same page and we can all kind of work together. The issue we have in LMD is, I mentioned funding, so we're funded by those LMDs, so we have to be very careful to stay within our areas of responsibility. But to share ideas and to share things that can make improvements, I'm all for it. So, I mean, yeah, if we do that at a later date, I'd be more than willing to come in here and do that, sure.
Thank you.
Through the chair, we have a caller. Our council liaison has a question for Scott.
Hello, thank you so much. This is your council liaison person. I do apologize. I could not be in person. Everything you could think of went bad, including my car not starting. So please accept my deepest apologies. I'd like to ask the gentleman, why do you stop at Lemon and not all the way to Cartola?
That's the boundaries that we're given. When that district was formed, those are the boundaries that were in that district, and that strictly comes from an engineer's report. I mean, so we don't make those determinations. That after Lemon, I believe that's Caltrans that takes over the rest of that area. That's going underneath the underpass there and going onto the freeway. So that's another
Okay.
one. Some are county, some are Caltrans, some are us, some are GVRD.
Can I ask for a map of what you do oversee?
Yeah, we can definitely provide you a map.
Can you give that to us via email?
Sure. Manny, did we have a map on one of those slides?
And,
Yeah, we can provide you with the map, no problem. Yeah, and it'll kind of show you the different boundaries that we have, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to read.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
If you can get it from Sherry, she'll be happy to give you my email.
I didn't understand that.
She said to Sherry can give you her email. Right? That's what she said?
I will make the connection. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
All right, perfect, yeah. There's a map that you can clearly see, but like I said, we don't determine these boundaries. Those are determined by, I don't know who, but I'm assuming the city engineer and so forth, and they put those together.
Any other commissioner?
Hi. Couple things. You came in right at the end of '24, right? So that was at the beginning of the demise of the, I don't know if you were briefed on that, the old Citizen Central Core Restoration Company.
Okay,
And at that point in time, they were a PBID district that has now been dissolved.
okay.
And there's a new group, reconstituted group called the Vallejo Main Street. I don't know if you're familiar with them yet, but they're trying to take over some of that responsibilities. The CCRC, I worked for the CCRC part-time with another person, and we kind of monitored the planters, and we picked up trash. We trade off weeks and
Okay.
pull weeds and stuff really for the downtown corridor only. And since it's not an LMD, there's not a lot of money for it.
That's
so
right.
we're quite understanding. But Vallejo Main Street, I think once they get up to speed, they're going to want to get very involved with you. And in the meantime, myself and one other person is still doing the CCRC
That's
pickup until the end of '25 that we know
Okay.
of. We're actually getting paid somewhat for it to pick it up. That's my other job. My other job is a landscape manager for maintenance guy over at the Point Benicia HOA.
Okay,
So I'm pretty involved downtown, and one of the things that this commission is involved in partly is a cooperative with the Sister City Commission and the Art and Cultural Commission on the restoration of the Japanese Friendship Garden, and I was wondering if Oscar had briefed you on that at all.
Yes, not, no, yeah.
Okay, we were approached, this commission was approached in September 23 by the mayor's office to work with the Sister City Commission on the restoration of the Japanese garden is right down there on the bottom there
Yeah.
between.
Okay.
So it was, as you probably know, was they had a lot of irrigation problems, a lot of vandalism problems, and so with the appearance of the Japanese delegation coming to Vallejo, they wanted to get it back to its regular, or back in condition for their visit. The visit didn't happen, but I just wanted to let you know that we've been talking with Oscar and Jose and
Okay,
Nick,
good.
all in those people, all the people over at the yard. So we're hoping, and that I was going to talk to the commission about this, that it's been a long process. It's been September of '23. So we're hoping that the final drawings and everything will be going to the city council's office, the January city council meeting for final approval. It has to go back to the art commission because there's a sculpture involved, and before the landscape's been approved by the sister city, and they're going to pay for it and all that good stuff. But I just wanted you to be aware that that's happening.
Well, I appreciate that. Does that have to do too with the sister city?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
They
that's what I
came
thought,
to,
yeah.
they came to us.
Okay.
Actually, the liaison, the commission liaison came to me in September of '23, and we came up with a budget, a landscape design, a restoration project for
Okay.
the sculpture, which had been vandalized quite severely. And so that's kind of the big part. The art commission is involved because it's a piece of art, even
Right,
though
sure.
it was given to the art commission before they existed. But now the city manager would like the art commission to be involved. So now it's a three-way operation between our three commissions, and hopefully this will get done.
That's great. Good.
So,
That's good to know.
but I wanted you to be involved
Yeah.
in it
Well,
because.
I'll talk to Oscar about that. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's going to be too busy to be directly involved, but we've dealt directly with Nick and
Okay.
Jose, and they've done a survey of the whole place, along with Oscar and the artist and the arborist.
Well, I have here in, this is called Region 6, the main corridor here, and I have an inspector here that's a master arborist, so he can definitely come out and help with arborists.
Are you talking about James?
No, this is Brian.
Oh, Brian,
Yeah,
okay.
Brian, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
yeah.
master arborist, and James is an arborist as well, so, and.
Basically, what we're trying to do is restore it like it was before the irrigation. We lost 5 trees.
Okay.
And plants, and to the vandalism, and it was a camping site, and so it's been a bit of a project. But the landscaping is really going to be pretty easy. I've already talked to Oscar about, that you guys are going to drill the holes, and Jose's going to Jose knows all about it and all
Good.
that sort of thing.
Okay, good. Yeah,
But I just wanted you to know
well, I
about it, so
appreciate
it
that. Yeah, I'll
didn't.
talk to Oscar about it. Yeah, that's good. I heard bits and pieces, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can call me anytime. I'll tell you what's
But
going on.
that's one of the reasons why, too, we have Brian now in this region is because, we're going to start, we started implementing permits again for tree work. We're redoing the tree ordinance right now. We're working with legal on that. We also have a consultant. So the verbiage is being changed a little bit to come out with a new ordinance. We also are working on an urban forestry plan. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted the master arborist here in Region 6 is to handle a lot of the trees and a lot of the permit process. So but we've got quite a few arborists on staff that they definitely know trees.
Actually, I have a question as well, if that's okay. So speaking of the 9 regions, if I get this right, so each region has a certain budget, and you have to stick to that budget for the region. And you mentioned that Vallejo Heights actually worked with you with their recent plantings. So I saw that because they were doing a fundraiser where they had a silent
They were,
auction.
absolutely. It was
Yes.
in the paper, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but they had actually raised most of their money beforehand. So was that coming from the coming from the budget for that region? Was that?
No, that's all them. So
That was all them
I
already?
started working with them probably about 2 years ago, and Region 6 is always a strapped fund, another one that we don't have, much funding in. So we didn't have the money to help them, and so we were going out trying to get volunteer organizations that could, number one, help with the planting, and number two, help raise funds. They had a politician of some sort donate a certain amount of money to help them. I think a supervisor or somebody like that was willing to support that. And then they had that auction. They had an art auction. I don't know what they what the results were, or how much they raised for that auction. But through those funds are what we're going to use to redo that area.
So what you're saying is if a neighborhood organization, because they've been around since the 1970s, the
Right.
Vallejo Heights organization, gets together and raises funds, if they don't have enough in the budget, they can still partner with you and you can give them suggestions and then help actually implement it.
We try to. We do have, limitations on, liability and traffic control and safety issues and so forth. That's always a problem, especially if they want to go out on a Sunday and do the planting. For me to get people over here is going to be tough, but as long as we have it safe and we have it, and Shelley and I work on that together too, she's been involved with it. As long as things are done correctly and through what the city standards are, then we're more than happy to help them. We have irrigation in there right now. We've been working on getting it fixed. There's some leaks, and we're already taking care of that problem. Basically, they're going to supply the plants, and more than likely, we're going to plant them for them. So, that, or we'll get our contractor to do it.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And I think it'd be great to put that information forward, so if other neighborhoods in different regions want to reach out and learn about that, or how to go about getting a project like that. Also, even if it's a grassroots fundraising on their end, and then partnering with you. So is there a way to get a map of the 9 regions and actually what the budget for each region is? So if neighborhoods within that region?
Yeah, it's all online, so you should.
is?
Yeah, and
Excellent.
we'll get you maps, and it will
Okay.
also get you to contact online, so you should be able to see the engineer reports. That's public information, so anybody can see those, and you can see what budgets we're working with within the regions.
Excellent.
Some regions have separate districts, so we have the 9 regions, but 26 districts. And it might be a region that a few of the districts have money, and they have, a fair amount of money that we can work with, where some of the districts in that region don't have anything at all. So,
Exactly.
So that becomes a struggle. One side of the area is getting taken care of, where the other side we're really pushing to try to get something done. But yeah, I'm all for any neighborhood associations, volunteer groups, and everything. I was a coach for many years, so I'm all about volunteering. I'm all about working with people, trying to get a common goal.
And then in terms of for example, if a neighborhood group wants to get together and propose an idea, is there a certain time period where it's beneficial for them to do that? Or is it throughout the year, if they have an idea, to just reach out to you?
Yeah, there's always certain times that are better to plant than others. Right now, we're kind of coming to the end of the season, so with the rain starting and everything else, I probably wouldn't advise doing much more planting, probably after the 15th of November, somewhere around then. And in the springtime, obviously, you got to wait for it to warm up a little bit, about March, end of March, April. I usually use tax day, the 15th, as a guideline for planting. That's when I do my own planting. I think that, but in the wintertime is a good time to prep. So that's when you can work on your irrigation. That's when you can work on your design. That's when you can work on any improvements in the area that you need to make prior to the planting. But you have to always remember, too, availability of the plants. So they're not going to, the plants that you get in the summertime and springtime aren't available in the fall or the winter. So it's what the nurseries have and what we can work with. But we can always advise on what plants to use. Another good thing, I was a master gardener in Sonoma County for almost 10 years. So that's through the UC system, which is great. And so we learned a lot about plants, and I managed a nursery for 7 years. That's something that we take pride in, and something that we enjoy doing. And I'm all for it. And we can sit down with the group and work on a design, work on a plan. I also have right now, the White Slough over on Enterprise. We have 2 groups coming together. The Vine group, the Vine Trail group, and there's another group of volunteers that are going to come together. The 2 are going to join forces in the middle of this month, and they're going to go out there and clean one day. That's a constant area that we have problems. We have graffiti, we have debris, we have all kinds of issues out there. So they're coming together, 2 separate groups, and it was kind of ironic because I kept getting emails from each one of them, and I finally put 2 and 2 together. I said, I think these people are going to work together, and they did. So, which is kind of neat. So we have stuff like that going on all the time too. And also too, in these communities, we have a lot of people that live there, residents that, as you mentioned, do cleaning. They walk up and down the streets, they pick up garbage. They pick up weeds. They improve their communities. And what's great is that they're great intel for us because they will always tell us what's going on in the region. So, if you're an inspector and you have 3 regions, you'll be on top of the regions, but the people that are out there walking the parkway every single day or looking at those trees every single day and everything, they're going to be able to report back to you on things that need to be improved. And so we use them as a resource, and we appreciate the work they do and how they help us, and they just volunteer their thoughts and their opinions, and sometimes we say, hey, that's actually helped us out. So, but you have a lot of people here in Vallejo that definitely, they take pride in their neighborhoods and they want to improve them, absolutely.
Any other commissioner questions?
I have a question. You said something about no more decorative turf, I believe. Do you have an idea for substitutes that you guys use?
Yeah, so decorative turf would be if you just want to, say you have let's say you have you put in an apartment complex, and in the front you have a big green space and you want to put in turf out there, they're not going to allow that. If you own the land and you want to build a little park, dog park or something like that, they're not going to allow you to put in turf. So that's going to be California, that's going to be mandated, that you're going to have to remove all the turf. You'll have to, it's supposed to be next year, the end of next year, 2026, when they're going to start implementing this. So if it's not useful turf or it's not recreational turf, as I mentioned before, with sports or activities like that, then they're going to want you to remove it. So, which is going to be tough because a lot of people enjoy those turf areas, and people still like green grass. I mean, the way it looks. And
So the suggestion is that you put like grass or like plants there instead of decorative turf?
yeah, so you could put plants in there. You could do plantings. You can do, like I said, mulch, rocks, anything like that. They just don't want to see turf because turf is thirsty. Turf takes a lot of water.
Got it. Oh, so mulch is okay?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Mulch, okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They encourage that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then I was curious too, for the districts, as your staff, is it more guidance and, answering questions, or is it enforcement also, or is it a different agency that would enforce any, transgressions to, say the turf or any other guidelines?
So what we could do too is the guidelines come out and the rules come out, or I guess kind of what they want, specifications and so forth, we can easily give those to you as well. And I think a group like this would be, it'd be perfect. It would help guide you as well. When you're doing beautification and you're trying to make improvements and so forth. So you kind of know the parameters, because you certainly don't want to put in turf or something like that and have to remove it. That's expensive and a lot of work. So as soon as I get the guidelines and all that, as long as I have a contact in this group, I can pass it on, and I'd be happy to do that, sure.
And if there were violations, is it your agency that would enforce citations or fines or anything, or is it somebody?
They will. They'll
Okay.
come out. And it's going to be kind of like, I don't know, I live in the North Bay, but during a drought, I mean, they had people, if you're out in your driveway and you're washing your car, they could come by and give you a fine. Or if they saw your sprinklers on when they weren't supposed to be on, they would leave you a note with a ticket on your door with a fine. So, and I did hear of it happening. So I'm assuming it's going to be the same way with turf. Now, there's a lot of turf out there, and I don't know how many inspectors they're going to have, but that's something too that they're really getting serious about, and they will clamp down, and I'm sure they'll fine you, and they'll give you probably a chance to remove it, and if it's not removed within a certain time period, then they'll probably fine you. Like I said, I'm just speculating. I don't know the exact rules, but that's what I would assume is going to happen.
Any other questions?
With the citations, I know you said that you guys were limited by districts and regions. So does that go for that too? Like the citations and like kind of like your jurisdiction? Is it certain areas that you would go for to? So if you're going to issue a citation to somebody that's not in a region or a district that you would go to do landscaping or whatever, do you issue citations there?
It's
Or
going
do
to
you
be
issue
citywide,
citations
so it won't
citywide?
matter what region you're in or what area. This is
Got
going
it.
to, it's going to
Got
be,
it.
it's going to be statewide. So
So the
any-
citations would be statewide?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I just want to make a clarification in my understanding of your support to different regions. So you said that you are, like, there's certain regions that you are responsible for, so like Glen Cove, Mare Island. However, regions that you're not specifically responsible for, you can support them, like neighborhoods that you can support them in beautification.
So I can support them in the sense that I can offer advice, I can offer them support, I can give them basic connections on where to get products, what they should use. I've got more than happy to give them plant lists, ideas, all of that. But if it's not specifically an LMD, then normally we won't work in that area.
Okay.
I might be a little different being that I'm the manager, but I'm okay meeting anybody to talk about beautification anytime and what they want to improve things on. Whether or not I can go out there myself or my crew, I don't think so, but I'm happy to give ideas and share what I think would be best, or best practices. And, you know, because that's our backbone. We want to see the whole city of Vallejo. I wish everybody here was an LMD. It'd make things a lot easier.
Right.
So we wouldn't have boundaries.
Right.
Boundaries constrict you. And, but I think that it's not just all about parkways. It's not all about just, you know, how pretty the new parkway looks and everything else, because in my opinion, when you go down the parkway, there's a lot of people on the sides, right? There's a lot of people on the side streets that are still out here. They still need just as much as that parkway does. And that's the way I look at it. And I want to continue to look at it that way. But I'm happy to offer ideas and anything you need. Like I said, you have my email. Just shoot me an email. I'll get the information for you.
Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate
being
you all.
here.
Thank you very much. Great questions. And like I said, if I can help, just shoot me an email and I'll get you the information. No problem. Good.
Thank you so much, and thank you for
right.
setting that up. And
Good. Thank you. Have a great evening.
drive safe.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to item 6, the action calendar. We have item A, the letter of recommendation to the city council to consider a motion to approve the letter that was in the packet to be presented to council at December 16th. Staff Secretary, any comments or information?
No, just the action that you need to take this evening is to vote to move forward so that I can prepare the staff report in partnership with the chair and get it scheduled for the December 16th target date. We may get pushed. I just want you to be, set realistic expectations. But because of the way I'm trying to set it up, it would be a presentation at the front of the meeting during the proclamation timeframe. So fingers crossed that that's the slot that we get into and that we can make the presentation on the 16th.
Okay, so presentation, not just consent calendar. Okay. And then I guess I was thinking too, because I know that the budget, I think it needs to go back to council also. It wouldn't be a chance it could be at the same night or anything.
Unfortunately, no. The mid-year budget conversations, I believe, start in January. I am in conversation about what happened with our budget this year.
TBD.
I can't, there's nothing I can do at this point, but our liaison is fully aware of what occurred.
No worries, thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we vote on this?
Can you do a quick review of what we're presenting to City Council?
Sure. So it was in the email that our staff secretary sent, but it's pretty much the same letter that had been drafted since February. And some of the items on there, it's basically urging council to either continue the work they're doing on certain items or to consider possible action on some of these items, which include homeless encampments, cleanup of highways, working with Caltrans, increasing fines for illegal dumping, and increasing enforcement on illegal dumping, and also increasing maintenance and landscaping in high-traffic public areas like the waterfront and downtown and so on. And so our staff secretary tuned it up so that it has the updated commissioner information and date. But other than that, it's basically the same letter that we looked at before. So that's where it stands at this point. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I guess we can go ahead and take a vote. For this, I think is it the best way to do it through the screens, or can I just do all those in favor?
You can just do the all in favor.
Okay.
We'll take a voice vote.
Sounds good, thank you. All right, voice vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to have this letter of recommendation presented at council on the December 16th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And then I think, is this where we would decide who from the commission would be present at the meeting, or would we do that later?
You can decide that now if you need to discuss it. Once we get a date set, we'll know a little bit more. I'd hate for you to set a date specific and then we get bumped. So we'll talk about that as soon as I can get it calendared.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. We can hold tight, in case somebody's not available.
Alrighty.
That specific date.
Yes, thank you.
Through the chair, Councilmember Gordon would like to make a comment.
Sure, thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much that you are willing to be present to do a presentation. I wanted to make sure that my colleagues are aware of the work that you all do and have done. And so I hope that we do have a complete presentations of the work that you've been doing, because I want to get the funds that you need also to celebrate what you've done.
Thank you very much. Staff Secretary?
Thank you, Councilwoman Gordon. The intention is to present the letter of support about the items that were in the packet, but also to include the work plan so that that discussion can be had. It would be the first presentation, and then moving forward into the mid-year budget question of how to get the items funded. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right. And perfect timing, because the next item is the report of the council liaison.
Hello, thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for accepting my apologies for not being in presence. I think that's crucial for me to be there, but thanks for your understanding. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much to the city of Vallejo for recognizing our commissioners and our advisory board. I had a wonderful time for the appreciation. I hope that you all did as well, who all attended. I've been getting positive feedback. They said this was one of the best that they've ever had for our long-term folks who have participated. I too was a commissioner, last year, so I had the benefit of this wonderful opportunity. I also talked to our secretary regarding your name badges and your cards for those who just got sworn in. And again, thank you to everyone for your participation. And then also to that last part, which I'm glad we segued and had that conversation already. I want to make sure that you are funded to the maximum that we are allowed to be able to service all the districts in Vallejo. We've gotten a lot of negative complaints about certain districts not being recognized and beautification or even consider. So hopefully we can partner better with that. But other than that, I am so proud of every last one of you. Your commitment, you make me proud, and I'm glad I selected to sit on this board because you have to admit, if something's not clean, you're not going to want to be there, right? It doesn't matter how much someone brag about it, and without your support, there's no way that could happen. And so I'm glad that every last one of you there, and anything I could do for you and to support our staff, please reach out to us. You have access to my email. Any questions for me?
I don't believe so, but thank you so much, Council Member, for being present online for the meeting and for your support.
One more thing, apologize. I didn't get to mention regarding the sister cities. I'm also the liaison person for that. So thank you so much for to the commissioner who mentioned that as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, that brings us to item 8, the community forum. If we have anybody present for the community forum? No? Anybody online, Manny?
Through the chair, currently do not have any members of the public who've signed up for a community forum, either in person or online. However, I did start a 2-minute timer, which is reflected on the top left corner of your screen, for those interested parties to sign up, either by accessing the terminals in the back of the council chambers or by raising your hand on Zoom. At the conclusion of the timer, if anybody has signed up, I'll be sure to let you know, but feel free to carry on with the agenda.
Thank you very much. For number 9, new and unfinished business. Anything from commissioners? Not that I don't have anything that I'm aware of. Okay. All right. I would say that would be more. Yeah, exactly. We can go ahead and I think move on to the next item. And so that would be the number 10 report of the chairperson and members of the committee. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to let the public know, so any Vallejoans who would like to participate, there will be a cleanup November 16th. We're calling it the Garbage Gobbler, and it's actually going to be a part of the Bay Trail. So what Scott mentioned earlier, we will be doing 1 mile cleanup, and it is from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I've been lucky to be a volunteer at some of the previous cleanups, and we've had great turnout. And we are going to have members of the Vallejo Run Club. We're going to have members of a trail running group, too, called the Dirt G's, also Rooted Vallejo, and as well as members of the Napa Valley Vine Trail Coalition there. So we already have a number of volunteers. We would love to see more people out and about. So come on out. You'll have a good time. You'll definitely meet your neighbors. There will be music. Trash can be fun. So I recommend you coming out Sunday, November 16th.
Sorry, what was the location? I think I missed that.
Sure. Actually, let me pull it up, just because it's a very specific. The location is 1295 Enterprise Street. So you will actually park along Enterprise Street. So if you drive to that location, that is the crossroads of the San Francisco Bay Trail and Enterprise. So you can park right there. We'll actually have a beautification trailer there. So we will have the trash picker-uppers. We will have buckets. If you could bring gloves, bring a bottle of water, and like sneakers or closed-toed shoes. And we will start at 9 a.m. So there will be a group of us. You will see us when you park there.
Okay, I got a couple of things I wanted to let the board know about. Last week I had a meeting in the mayor's office with the Sister City liaison, Eric Zomp, and one of the commissioners, Pelton Stewart, all in regards to the update of the Japanese garden project that we've been working on since September of 2023. We are at a point now. One, I think I said at the last meeting, but I'm not sure, the Onagawara, the ceramic sculpture that the Akashi members gave to the city of Vallejo, I believe it was 2005, is completely restored. And if you're around town this weekend, I don't know if you know, but it's Open Studios, Vallejo Open Studios this weekend for all the artists in Vallejo. And I live in the Temple Arts Loft, as does the person that restored the Onagawara. And if you're interested, we're going to have it on display for people to see it. before it gets placed in the garden. The meeting was in regards to the next step. The liaison for the Sister City Commission would like to be able to have the Art and Culture Commission, the Sister City Commission, the Beautification Commission, basically, present this to City Council at their January meeting for final approval of the location of the Yanagawara. In theory, they will just go what the recommendation is from the Art and Culture Commission. If you're not familiar with the Art and Culture Commission, kind of was a latecomer to this project, and that was due to the city manager feeling, since it was a sculpture, that they had to have a say on it, whether it was going to be inside and outside, and they recommended it's going to be outside. It'll be just similar to its previous location, but it will be fortified a little bit better, and it'll be a little bit better viewed. So the liaison felt that the city council really needed to see a drawing. We've got a CAD of the entire garden and where, what tree is going to be placed where and all that sort of thing, but he felt that a illustration would be better, so we're working on that. I've got an artist working on that, and so that is the plan, that hopefully this will all be presented in January, and the City Council will just go along with the Art Commission's recommendation. And then we can start in on the landscaping part, which really is the easiest part of it. It's just replanting 5 trees, trimming some bushes, putting in some new gravel, and then redoing the signs that were there originally that were also vandalized. The other thing, I think, is that all I did? Oh, the other thing I want to talk about is our pickup on October 11th. Was that the 11th or the 12th? Sarah, you were there. Aaron, you were there. Were you there? Anyway, we had a great turnout. I was really surprised. This was our coordination with Bambinos. And they gave out coupons to everybody that participated. And we had about 18 people show up, including a couple people in the audience here, which we were very grateful for. And it was a great, I think it really was a great pickup of the York Street corridor. It looked really good. And someone like me that has to go there all the time and pick up trash, we really appreciate it. And so Bambinos is very thrilled with it. They were very pleased, and they want to do it again. So we can talk to them about doing it again in another quarter, maybe the next quarter. And that's all I've got.
Do you have any security precautions planned for the garden once it gets restored?
That's an ongoing question.
Okay. Okay.
I've got my ideas.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other reports? Okay. Then we'll go ahead and go to report of our staff secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This has been a very busy month, rather unexpectedly, but I think you'll be pleased to hear some of the activities that have been going on. Today I had the pleasure of presenting the illegal dumping statistics and the genesis of our community tool trailer program to a group from Cal Recycle. They are a task force that's working at a state level to address illegal dumping across the state in conjunction with the Office of a Supervisor in Alameda County. The illegal dumping task force I've been working with for 3 years now, and they were very welcoming of the response that our council has approved the contract with Recology that has really attacked the illegal dumping situation here in town. Next month I'll have a full summary of the results and the impact that we've had over the last 3 years, 2.5 years, from the Recology efforts and partnering with our grounds teams with the city. So if you haven't noticed the change in the amount of illegally dumped locations, I urge you, look at the city with a new set of eyes, because the before and after is really transformative. We're hoping to see more of a drop in the activity, but that hasn't occurred yet. So this is a persistent problem. It's very costly for us to maintain, But for our quality of life and for that of our residents and visitors, it's vital. We just cannot allow these illegal dumping situations to stay on the streets very long. And through this process, the response time has been really remarkable. We're getting these sites cleaned up within 24 to 48 hours. So that was really a nice presentation to be able to give. We also talked about the community tool trailer. It's one of the few in the area, so that's making it available to our residents and groups. They were the team that I spoke with was very complimentary and for our thinking outside of the box. This isn't a new program. There's other states and cities doing it. But for a city of our size to have, over the last 6 years, since it was implemented, 344 separate cleanups have occurred. There's been a collection of over 28 tons of material from just these cleanups that our residents conduct. Now, I say just. That's huge. The bulky item pickups that our neighborhood associations are participating in on a monthly basis, the quarterly pickups or the quarterly cleanups that you all have participated in, and then the other one-offs, just from different groups. It's really starting to go viral as far as it started downtown, but it's gone citywide now. As our council liaison mentioned, we do have some spots in town that needs more attention, and to get some groups into those areas on a more regular basis. District 6 and District 2, for sure. District 5 is pretty well covered. District 4 is very well covered. District 3 doesn't have too much of an issue. There's been long-term volunteers running up and down Glen Cove Parkway for years. And so it's very encouraging to see how the program has blossomed. They did ask the question, do you have more than one trailer? That felt kind of weird to answer that we have managed with just the one trailer. And it's because other groups have sprung up that are now self-supporting. They're providing their own pickup litter tools. We just go pick up the trash that they collect. So it's really, that was my vision to begin with, was let's enable, or not enable, empower. And I know Commissioner Hanley-Mills knows exactly what I'm talking about, is if we provide the tools to start, then everybody else wants to get on board. And so that's what's happened. I'd just like to see it blossom a little bit more. The other, as Councilmember Gordon mentioned, the Commissions and Boards Appreciation Dinner. We changed it to a mixer format this year. I think everybody enjoyed it. For those of you that were able to participate, thank you. For those of you that weren't, I really encourage you to try to get there next year. We held it at the Sweet Treatments venue over on Sonoma Boulevard. They had it all decorated for Halloween. It was just perfect. It was a lively group. Everybody, as their commissions were called out by the mayor, everybody was like clapping and cheering, and it was so much more energetic than what we've had down in the Vallejo room. I think the change in the venue and I don't know. The feedback's all been very positive about the format change and the location change. So if you have ideas for next year's event, please let me know. I intend to be on that planning team again. And there's that. Lastly, I had the privilege of attending the California Main Street Conference in San Luis Obispo last month. It was a 3-day conference. I met leaders from all over the state, from Redding all the way down to San Diego, and how the different main streets are operating in their cities. There are a lot of technology tools that I'm investigating and will be reporting out on as I go through these demos. Some of them have to do with beautification and making our city more walkable and talkable, and some of it is placemaking. Now that we've attacked the litter issues, moving this group forward with what would you like to see happen? What places need to be beautified? The plantings and the teamwork with our grounds crews and the other community organizations, those are the things that I'm ruminating at present. How to get them funded, I have an idea for that. Solano Community Foundation has a community fund that we can set up. I'm seeking your support, but that's a side conversation for later, to do that. And it would help our residents, if they want to donate money to a cause or a project, the money could be held in that fund. It'd be very directed and reported out properly, full transparency and accountability, but it's held by the Community Foundation. They've done this for other cities in our area, and I'll bring those documents for your review probably in January. Okay? It's really easy to get set up, but there are some legal things that we need to address. And if, as a resident, if we can't do this as a city, I'm going to set it up as an individual, but I'll need an advisory board to do so. So I'll be looking for representatives from each area of the city to participate in that conversation. Some of the things that I saw in San Luis were really interesting. You would think that an affluent neighborhood or an affluent city such as San Luis Obispo wouldn't have the same kind of issues that we do. I'm here to tell you they do. Their main street has vacancies. They have issues just like we do. We just have more of them. We're a larger city. They have 40,000 people in their city. We have 126,000. So our issues are magnified, but their power to make a change through the Vallejo Main Street process was pretty impressive. If you guys would like to hear from Main Street, the local group here, I'm sure we could get one of their members to come speak to you about what their plans are and how we could partner. They had some very interesting signs. If you've noticed the pole signs that we have either out at the waterfront or in downtown, theirs were themed around not history, but how do I explain? It's hard to explain. It was more a vignette, and they were strategically placed along the main area where most of the tourists converge, where all the shops and the restaurants and their farmers market. Their farmers market is legendary. It's been going on for 50 years, and it's enormous. If you ever have a chance to go down there and check it out, I'd encourage you to do so. Very welcoming community, college town just like we are. So I'll be bringing back more information, but I would really encourage you to invite Main Street to come talk to you. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Staff Secretary. And thank you for the information. All right, and all the work you do. Number 12, report of the subcommittees. I know at least some of the ones that I'm on, it's, I think waiting until we confirm the budget before we start planning around it. Yeah. And so I don't want to speak for everybody, but I would understand if there hasn't been a lot going on with the subcommittees. So anything anybody wanted to mention? Okay. We will discuss this further at future meetings. Number 13 is any other items. Commissioner Wyrick?
Oh, I thought we were at 14.
If there's nothing for 13, then
13.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to propose that that for every meeting I read off areas where people can get resources for beautification. We talked about the trailer, the dumpster. And I don't have that information, but I did go to where they used to have the office, and it's not there. But iHarp is there now. So I'll find out from you, Shelley, where it is.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I'm sorry. Where to get the form and information for the dumpster. They had, the old office is not there anymore. The iHarp, which is the crisis unit office, is there. And so I have to go to the police department and find out if that's where you go for it now, or somewhere else, or online. But I'd like to each meeting, like sort of, we talked about it the first meeting I was at. So I'd like to volunteer to read off some resources for people to have so that they can, free resources actually, that Vallejo has to increase their community beautification, so they can empower our community actually.
Staff Secretary, would you say that that would need to be an agenda item or just a part of the reports?
It could just be part of the report. Thank you for bringing that up. I have a list already started. So let's put our heads together and anything that any of you have, let's talk about that for next, and we'll just add to the list.
Okay, great.
Okay, thanks.
I can also say if anyone wants to go to www.rootedvallejo.com, I have put together a resources page, which is specifically free resources that Vallejo residents can get to. So I'm trying to aggregate all of the free resources that are available. So signing up for the trailer, any rebates. Solano Water Agency gives a ton of rebates. So Scott was talking about how we're seeing how turf is very expensive. If you currently have turf in your yard, you can have it pulled out and you actually get money
rebate.
for it. Yep, and there are so there's a rebate for drought-tolerant trees. We also get 4 free dump services, so extra large. So I have listed all of those. So if you would like to see that, you can again go to www.rootedvallejo.com under the resources page, and I've started listing them all. And I think it would be great to announce them for every meeting
No,
too.
that's great. That's great. Because then in that announcement, we could send people to that, like a consistent reminder of where to get increased information.
Whenever something new comes up, I'd be happy to add it to the growing list.
And just read off, some of those items, because sometimes even though there's somewhere for people to go, people don't always go. But it's good to hear that, oh, this is what's happening, and this is where you can get more information, right? And so I think that's a great, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Started it because you mentioned it at the first meeting.
Oh, great.
Commissioner Wyrick?
Yeah, I would like to, are we at 14?
Is there anything else for 13 before we move on to 14? Okay, I think we're on 14.
Okay, I would like to invite the Vallejo Main Street group to come speak to us when they can, and let them know what they're doing, because I know they're new. They've been resurrected, and there's a new group of people involved in it, and I know that I hear through the grapevine various things, but I'd like to hear from them.
Any other suggestions or questions about future agenda items? Articles for the Vallejo Weekly, I noticed is listed.
You know those things that wake you up in the middle of the night and it's a brilliant idea and then you can't really form it because it's 3 o'clock in the morning? We're talking about communications. You guys are great ambassadors. And everything that you've discussed this evening with Rooted Vallejo, the resource list, that's all communication. And the more we can reach out to our residents and visitors about what's happening, the better. And my question to you is, would any of you be up for writing an article a month for the city newsletter? It comes out once a week, and it could be any topic having to do with your vision for the city's beautification, just highlighting things that you've seen in groups happening in your neighborhood, as long as it's within the beautification and volunteer model, right? That would be my one request.
I think that's a wonderful idea, because I think sometimes what happens, there's a focus on what's not beautiful, and it sort of steers our residents into focusing on, yes, there's things that we do need to improve. However, these are areas that's beautiful, right? So I would like to volunteer myself, I got.
Yeah, and they've been receptive. When we did the art contests last year, they put information about that, posted the winners, and it was very easy. So they're pretty receptive. So yeah, we can definitely do that. All right, and then that brings us to number 15. Oh, Staff
Chair,
Secretary.
one, I would like to really thank Aaron for getting the Rooted Vallejo off the ground. It was an independent effort and much appreciated. Just kind of spearheaded a whole lot of other conversations. So good job. It looks great. It's easy to use and it's easy to navigate. If you want to elevate more messaging around that, certainly you can reach out to our PIO and he can put it into the newsletter as well.
They're also on Instagram, not just Facebook. Here.
All right. So with that, 7:30 on the dot, we are going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.